Hi, and welcome. You're listening to the X22 Report. My name is Dave, and this is episode 1369A, and today's date is September 1st, 2017, and the title of the episode is Russia and BRICS Go After Excessive Domination of Reserve Currencies. Let's get into the economic collapse financial news. Now, yesterday we talked about how UBS was pushing towards the blockchain. They have this blockchain project, and they're getting many different banks involved. And what we're seeing right now, it's going even further than that. And there are the world's 6 largest banks. They've decided to join the blockchain project called Utility Coin, and that will allow the banks to settle trades in securities denominated in different currencies without a money transfer. What's worse, the banks expect to begin live testing the project late next year. So they have already been working on this project. Now, the banks that are involved in this are Barclays, Credit Suisse, Canadian Imperial Bank of Commerce, HSBC, MUFG, and State Street. They've teamed up and they're working with UBS. And what's very interesting about all of this is that the project managers say they've already involved representatives from various central banks. So the central banks are already involved in this project, which has already started. They've already been doing the research, and we can see already they're going to be ready for testing by next year. And we see that they're trying to get into the blockchain arena because we know what is happening right now. The dollar reserve, well, that is going away. And they're getting prepared and ready to deal in the blockchain. Now, using the blockchain, they can use any type of currency that is out there. They can use Bitcoin, they can use Dash, they can use Litecoin, they can use the euro, or whatever currency is out there. They can use it to transfer back and forth from the bank. This is the beginning stages. And I think what they're going to do is they're going to push this even further, where they're going to get deeper and deeper into the blockchain system, because what they really want to do is they want to take control of this and let everyone know that, yes, you need the banks to handle this. And this is why they are doing this right now. So we can see at this point, they're making their move. This project has been going on. The central banks are involved in it. And we can see as the dollar deteriorates, as the dollar declines, as more and more countries stop using the dollar, we're going to see this pick up and we're going to see more banks join. Today, the jobs report came out, and it was absolutely awful. BLS reported that in August, just 156,000 jobs were created. This is a huge miss. They were expecting 180,000 gain. And remember, the country is filled with millions and millions of people, and, getting 156,000 or 180,000 or 200,000 people to get jobs, it's really not that big of a number. They want you to think it's a really big number, but it is tiny. What's very interesting, though, is that June and July, they were revised down from 210 to 189, which is a 41,000 drop. And what we're seeing is that the number of employed Americans declined by 74,000, which means there are more and more people that are out of work. And remember that there's a lot of retail stores. They're still closing. Not all of them have closed. They're in the process of closing down right now. Corporations are laying off. And we can see that the level dropped by 1.2%. This is the lowest since March. Now, the unemployment rate ticked up a little bit to 4.4%. And we see that average weekly earnings, this has declined. And basically what is happening here is that the employment arena is really going absolutely nowhere. I mean, they've been manipulating this market for a very long time, and we can see that pretty much employment is flatline right now. The labor participation rate really hasn't gone anywhere. We're at the same exact level. When we look back in time, I mean, we're back at 1970 levels. This is absolutely awful, and these aren't even high-paying jobs. These are terrible jobs. Now, what's very interesting about all of this is that manufacturing employment somehow rose by 36,000 jobs in August. Now, let's think about this. Because factories, they are furloughing workers. Motor vehicles and the part department, we can see this is not the best time of year where they're cutting back production. They've been channel stuffing. There's nowhere else to place the cars. And they're telling us that manufacturing moved up, which makes no sense whatsoever. We see out in the housing market, the U.S. mortgage applications to buy a home fell last week to their lowest level. So the activity rate in people taking out mortgage applications, that is continually falling. And at the same time that is happening, we have the triple whammy, which we have new homes, that is declining. Existing home sales, that is declining. Pending home sales, that is declining. And what else do we see? Well, construction spending unexpectedly declines. Now, I like they use that word unexpectedly to make it like, oh, it's a big surprise that this is happening. But we could see right now that the consensus, the Econoday consensus, they were expecting it to move up by 0.6%. Instead, it fell by 0.6%. And we can see this fits into with this whole thing fits into what we've been saying. The housing market is falling apart. And we can definitely see this. We're seeing that new and existing homes, the family formation, it is weak. And there is no strength in the housing market. And the construction spending is extremely volatile right now and heavily revised. Actually, it's very suspect right now of what's really going on. And when we look at the economy, and we've been talking about this for quite a while, and we look at all these economic indicators, we are tracking every single day how the economy is falling apart. Yes, the corporate media is going to tell you how great the economy is doing until the very end, just like they did in 2008. They never let on that there were major problems, that it was deteriorating, that these subprime securities were a joke, they were defaulting. They made it seem like everything was fine. Well, the stock market's going up. It has to be okay. The Fed told us that the housing market, the subprime, it's contained. Housing prices don't fall. Well, we've been following everything, and we know that this is not true. Now, the corporate media, the Fed, even the U.S. government is going to tell you that everything is fine. What we've been looking at is how everything is completely deteriorating over time. And everything that we've been saying has all been coming true. If you go back 2-3 years, we said each year during the holiday season, stores are going to do worse and worse and worse, and we're going to see store closures. Here we are in 2017. We said the housing market was going to start to fall apart. It is falling apart. We said the unemployment numbers are completely fake, phony, and false. We know the GDP numbers, forget that. That is completely made up. And we know that manufacturing is really not existing. We told you that Amazon, well, even though the corporate media is telling you how great it is and everything's moving to online, it's a fake story. They're trying to pass this off because they can't explain it away with the weather. They can't explain it away with anything else. So what they're saying is, oh, everyone's going to online. And we debunked that myth. Everyone is not going online right now. It's only 10% of the entire retail market. And Amazon is doing as good as it's doing is because it's not just retail. It's their web service. It's their cloud service. It's everything else. So when we look at this, we can see the entire system is falling apart. Now, Russia, China, the other BRIC nations, they know this. They know everything is starting to fall apart. And Russia wants to promote economic cooperation within the BRICS format. Now, according to Putin, there has been a number of practical achievements in the work of the five-nation bloc. In an open letter published ahead of the 9th BRICS summit in China, Putin expressed confidence the BRICS countries will continue to act against protectionism and new barriers to global trade. And this goes to the Belt and Road. They want open trading. They want all the countries to join in on this. And they don't, and basically they're going up against the United States. They're going up against the dollar. He added that Russia shares the BRICS countries' concerns over the unfairness of global financial and economic architecture, which does not give due regard to the growing weight of the emerging economies. What he's talking about is the United States and how they controlled everything. He also voiced readiness to work in promoting international financial regulation reforms and overcoming the excessive domination of the limited number of reserve currencies. He said, we will work toward a more balanced distribution of quotas and voting shares within the IMF and the World Bank. Now, I am not saying that Russia, the BRICS, this is going to be a better situation. What I'm saying is that the central banks, they are still working within China. Russia kind of removed the Rothschild system right now, but the central bankers still have their claws in the system, and they're preparing and ready to move everything from the west to the east. This is what we see happening right now. And I remember a couple years ago when we started talking about China, how their currency is going to be including into the SDR, the basket of SDRs, with the IMF, and everyone was saying that's crazy, that's not going to happen. And it did happen. And we can see over that period of time, when we said, they're creating the payment system, they're creating the exchanges, they're building up the BRICS system. This is what we've been seeing all along, because this is what they do. They do it very slowly, very methodically, to make sure that no one realizes what's really going on. And they've been moving everything over to that area because China has the manufacturing. China has the gold. Russia has the gold. So you can see how this is forming right now and how everything is moving away from the West. Basically, those individuals that are in power in our government, they've destroyed the United States. That's really what they've done. By creating NAFTA, by trying to push the TPP, and everything else they've done, they destroyed the United States, the manufacturing base, to line their pockets with currency. That's basically it. And now we're going to pay for it. They're not going to pay for it. The people of the United States are going to pay for it. And we've been paying for it for a very long time. So we're going to go through this transition process, and we can see that it's definitely coming. And this is why you need to be ready, prepared, because it's going to be a very bumpy road. Listen, everyone, thanks a lot for listening. Be well, be safe, and especially be prepared. Thanks a lot.